coming up next, we have the man from New York himself, Matt Frevola, taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. This is one that's going to be absolutely electric, in my opinion. Matt Frevola gets the MSG crowd going. We saw it last year on the MSG card. He's once again doing it this year on the main card. He's got 3 straight knockouts to his name since that record-breaking knockout loss to Terrence McKinney. And that might be what you remember him for, but please don't, because he has been absolutely electric with his knockout power over the last 3. He is 5-3 in the promotion and also has a win over Jalen Turner back in 2019. That's one that you can really add to the resume there. His most recent win is a knockout over Drew Dober as well, which is awesome. He did not start out as a KO guy, though, Rick. He was kind of he had that wrestling background when he got his MMA start, and then his boxing has dramatically improved where he's now become a power shot guy where he's able to kind of figure it out. He's able to pack a punch, and it's going to be interesting packing a punch against a man with the nickname God of War, who Benoit Saint-Denis lost to Zaleski to start his UFC career, but has since won 4 in a row. And he's won 3 fights this year, which I think is the biggest thing for me. The activity for him right now is insane. And not only is it activity, it's activity over huge names. He's got a big win over Ismael Bonfim as well as Thiago Moises in July and September, both by finish. So this will be his 3rd fight in 5 months. And this fight's on the MSG card. Unbelievable. I think his wrestling is a bit better than Frevola. We haven't seen Frevola use the wrestling in a while. I know that I said it was his background, but we haven't seen him use it in a while. I really think that Saint-Denis is able to potentially get the finish here is what I've been looking at personally. But interested to hear your thoughts on the card too for what should be an electric fight to get us really into the main card here.
Yeah, I mean, this fight will get everyone out of their seats if the other one did not. If the other one becomes a wrestling grappling affair, which I don't think it will, but if it does, this will be the fight that gets everybody out of their seats regardless. And if you don't believe me, go to Vegas because the fight not to go the distance right now is -400. So we're seeing a finish either by submission, by knockout, more than likely. And I think Saint-Denis is probably the one that has more skill. But Frevola, as we've seen over the past 3 fights, he's got power. And he might have fallen in love with it a little bit. As you said, he's got that wrestling background. And before those 3 knockouts, he had just one. One of his 8 wins were by knockout. So 4 by decision, 3 by submission. And we sort of see the same thing with Saint-Denis. Not in that he fell in love with the power or anything, but that most of his wins are not coming by knockout either. He's got 3 knockouts, 9 submissions, 0 decision wins. So we've never seen him go to the cards and win it. I'm sure he doesn't want to go to the cards and win it this time either. But what it comes down to for me is Saint-Denis likes to be able to get up close sometimes and sort of blitz in, either for takedowns or just to get into that boxing range. And he can get clipped fairly often in there. So that's a little worrisome for me as far as taking Saint-Denis. But his striking to all levels, his kicks are so heavy to the body, but also to the calves that it's hard to watch sometimes because you just hear the clapping sound of just shin on stomach, and it's hard. So if he can land and start to see success with those, he's able to mix those pretty well with his striking. And he's got that dog in him too. Both of these guys do, where they've gotten hit before, they've gotten rocked, and they say, all right, let's go. Sort of like what Khamzat did against Gilbert Burns, which I guess is just going to be my example here for the next few cards until something else gives me a better one. But where you have a guy that gets rocked, and instead of like, let's protect myself, like, oh shit, I'm in danger, it's all right, like I still have my wits about me. Let's do something smart. Let's grapple. Let's find a way to be able to get back in this fight, even if it's just landing a strike of your own. So both these guys will fall on their sword in that way, and that's sort of the way they were bred. Both are military guys. Saint-Denis was in the French military. Frevola was a lieutenant in the U.S. military. So we have a big U.S. versus France thing here going on military-wise. But yeah, the odds sort of reflect that skill advantage of Saint-Denis on the ground, but also on the feet. And Saint-Denis now a -225 favorite. Frevola sitting at +185. And that totals at 1.5 with the under set at -150. So I've got Saint-Denis. I'm a little cautious just because he can get clipped as soon as he tries to go inside. And we saw Elizeu Zaleski be able to do that to him repeatedly. So if Zaleski can do it, I think more highly of Zaleski than I do Frevola, candidly. I think Frevola's round 1 knockout string is going to come to an end here, and he's going to come back down to earth a bit. But good on him for being able to capitalize on the hype that's brought him. So a main event card for a pay-per-view is nothing to scoff at. And he's a talented fighter in his own right, but I've got Saint-Denis pretty confidently here. And my bet before I hand it over to you, Andy, is Saint-Denis inside the distance at minus 130 for a full unit. I think that he's able to get it done, and more often than not, that's going to be my finish. So what about you?
You and I are perfectly aligned on this one, my friend. I've got Saint-Denis to win the fight as well as inside the distance at minus 130. Got those odds at betonline.ag. Again, it's going to be super hype. This New York City crowd loves Frevola, but for once, the French military is not going to surrender, and he's going to unfortunately make the Americans surrender in this one. So stay locked in with us as we continue on and take on the third fight of the main card, which is Jessica Andrade against Mackenzie Dern. Stay tuned.